baby.
Enjoy this great game.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. And today, the real playoffs are here. The wild cards have been determined. The Boston Red Sox defeated the Yankees. They will move on to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to talk about that series momentarily. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the Chicago White Sox taking on the Houston Astros. This is going to be an epic matchup right here. The Astros are favored by most. They have the advantage in a lot of different ways, which we'll get into. I personally picked the White Sox, and I'll get into that. I've been on this White Sox train for a long time. I love this team, love their bullpen. Think they got a lot of power, and it's just an epic-looking roster for me. And so I kind of had been high on the White Sox for a while, and that's why I picked them. Not that I'm not high on the Astros. The Astros are clearly a really good team, regardless of the hate, regardless of how many people think they stink. They didn't just win that World Series because they were stealing signs. They won that World Series because they are extremely talented, and that's obvious when you look at the roster, which, you know, most of it's now changed, but it's still extremely powerful, and a lot of the big names are still there. The White Sox last won their World Series in 2005, and they actually swept the Houston Astros. Obviously completely different teams back then, but it is interesting that the White Sox took on the Astros in a World Series because back then the Astros were in the National League. And I still have a hard time remembering that. I still think sometimes of the Brewers as in the American League, just that brain doesn't always function right. But these two teams, that's the only playoff experience they have against each other, mainly because they were in different leagues. They had to be in the World Series, but now that they're in the same league, they are finally meeting up again in the playoffs. So this is going to be a fun one right here. The Astros were 5-2 in the regular season against the White Sox. This is a key stat that needs to be mentioned. And game one, we are going to see Lance Lynn for the White Sox, 11-6, 2.69 ERA against Lance McCullers Jr., 13-5, 3.16 ERA. Like I said, Houston's a pretty big favorite in Vegas. You got to risk $130 just to win $100. And usually they know what they're talking about. Usually that's how they make money, but doesn't mean they're right all the time. Obviously, in sports, you just never know. And to me, the White Sox, this is a team that's just getting better, and this is a team that's been very scary since the 2019 offseason. I was very high on this team going into 2020, and since then, look, they won the division handily. So did the Astros. Don't get that twisted. This is why this is such an epic matchup right here. But reasons why I like the White Sox, aside from just the fact that I've been on this White Sox train for a while, is that they are hot. They finished the regular season winning 6 of 7, and I believe they have the best bullpen in MLB. You got Michael Kopech, who is amazing, and he's not even the biggest name, perhaps. You got Craig Kimbrell and Liam Hendricks in that bullpen as well. And if the White Sox just hold a lead into the 6th inning, it's, I wouldn't say a wrap, but it's damn close to one, because you're going to have to face this three-headed monster, and it is no joke. And Lance Lynn had the best ERA in the American League with a 2.69 ERA. Although it should be noted he fell a few innings short of actually qualifying for the official title. He's got playoff experience. This dude is legit, and I think that he will outpitch Lance McCullers Jr. today, and the White Sox will get this win. And from there, they'll have the advantage. I think that the Astros will win some games. I think it's going to be a hard-fought series, but I do have the White Sox winning this series. However, Astros fans, I appreciate this team. I know you guys are good. 51-30 at home this year, and swept 4 from the White Sox at Minute Maid Park in June. Led all of the big leagues in runs scored, which is pretty much the most important thing if you're going to win a baseball game, is runs. How did they score 863 runs? And like I mentioned, they have a lot of these great names still there. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, and others who have joined since 17, like Michael Brantley. And yeah, this team is stacked up. 2 of the best offenses in the game, in my opinion, are going to be going at it, and this is going to be must-watch baseball. Currently, game 2, it's looking to be Lucas Giolito. We all know that name. He's thrown a no-hitter. He's awesome, against Framber Valdez. So 2 very solid pitches with very similar stats. Look at how those stats line up. 11-9, 11-6, 3.53, 3.14. Lucas Giolito, quite a few more strikeouts with 201 compared to 125, but both these pitchers are really good, and that's going to be a clash right there as well in Houston. The White Sox also have Dylan Cease available. Carlos Rodon, we could see him throw, you know, depending on how long this series goes. And the Astros, obviously, Luis Garcia, Zach Greinke, could make an appearance. Zach Greinke is expected to actually pitch out of the bullpen, as is Dallas Keuchel. That's what's being reported. So that adds a little depth to both of those bullpens as well, just depending on how deep this goes. So both teams are stacked with starters. They got great bullpens, and they have very powerful lineups. But I do think that the White Sox have the edge in the bullpen. Not that the Astros are bad. Obviously, Ryan Presley has had a fantastic season. 26 saves, 2.25 ERA. Brooks Raley is pretty good. Christian Javier has been an up-and-comer lately and is pretty damn good. Kendall Graveman was a nice pickup for them. He had an amazing 2021 season. But still, I like the White Sox bullpen a little more, and I think that they're lineup has as much thump as the Astros lineup, and the pitching matchups are pretty close. This thing could go either way. Astros is a perfectly logical pick, but I'm taking the Chicago White Sox to win this series in 5 games. And that brings us to the Red Sox Rays, the second series, and that will start tonight. Eduardo Rodriguez going up against Shane McClanahan, and again, 2 very good pitchers. Both are susceptible to giving up runs. They're not exactly, just aces that are going to go out and put zeros on the board every inning, but very solid. Obviously, Eduardo Rodriguez coming off a nice season, 13-8, 4.47 ERA, 185 strikeouts, and then McClanahan, 10-6, 3.43 with a 141. So, very comparable. Both lefties, so that's very interesting. And they'll be going at it at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida tonight. For this one, the official odds, if you're going to put down some money, is for the Rays. The Rays are the favorites in this series. In 19 games, Rays-Red Sox 2021, the Rays held the advantage. 11-8 record against the Red Sox. So the Rays have the season series and are such favorites. You have to risk $145 just to win $100 right now in Vegas. But do not count out the Red Sox. They have a potent offense that we saw in that wild card game against Garrett Cole. They led the American League with doubles with 330, and they were second in the American League with a 449 slugging percentage. They were in the top 4 in OPS, batting average, total bases, runs scored, and when you just look at their lineup and some of the names in there with Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, Kyle Schwarber now, Alex Verdugo, who had some big hits in that wild card game, from the Dodgers. They were able to pick him up. So the Red Sox, if they're going to win this series, their offense is going to have to do what that offense can do. But the Tampa Bay Rays are a little deeper in pretty much all the other aspects of the game. Brandon Lau hit 39 bombs. Zunino hit 33. But what's more important is their pitching. They led the American League with a 3.69 ERA. And their bullpen continues to be one of the best in the game, and they utilize it frequently and to great effect. Their bullpen had a 3.24 ERA on the season. They do not walk guys. They are efficient, they're effective, and they're just good, and they know how to strike guys out. They're 4th in the league in strikeouts. The reason the Rays are favored is just because they're just a better team overall, it would seem. Of course, that's going to be proven on the field, whether that's true or not, and the Red Sox are going to have something to say about that. Obviously, they have pitching too. Matt Barnes is a strikeout machine, but most of that bullpen is a little susceptible. They will give up hits, they will give up runs, they will get wild at times. I think overall the Rays have the much more solid bullpen, the more solid rotation, and offensively, Red Sox probably have an edge, but, even there, it's close. Of course, I say their rotation is better, but then again, they don't have Glasnow anymore. He's hurt. That Blake Snell is gone. Morton is gone. But Game 2 is going to be a must-watch game because right now the Rays have Shane Baz reported to go. And this big, tall kid, and I say kid because he's 22 years old. So this is, a very young pitcher from Texas, but he is freaking legit. 3 starts this year in 13.1 innings. He struck out 18, but in the minor leagues this year, 17 starts, 78.2 innings, 113 strikeouts, just 13 walks, 2.06 ERA. So, is the pressure going to get to him? Is he ready for a playoff game? He only has 3 major league starts in his life, but he is going to be center stage in Game 2. Red Sox haven't announced their starter yet. Obviously, they have some options. Evaldi pitched in the wild card, so we may not see him yet. There's Chris Sale and a few others they could go with. Nick Pivetta, for example. But I believe that Game 2 means a lot because if Shane Baz goes out there and just dominates the Red Sox and wins that game, then it's going to be tough for the Red Sox to, because that's their big chance. They have to do, with this veteran lineup and these amazing hitters, they have to do something against Boz in Game 2. But overall, I do agree with most of the odds and most of Vegas who like the Rays. I like the Rays too in this series. I have the Rays winning this series in 4. And I have Shane Boz pitching extremely well. Maybe he'll give up a couple runs, and maybe he won't be as great as he's used to being, because it is a lot of pressure. It is a big game, but I do think he will be good enough, and I think that the Rays will win Game 2. I think they'll win Game 1 and 2. I got the Red Sox taking Game 3, and then the Rays finishing them off. That's probably not going to be right, but overall, I got the Rays winning the series. Let's put it that way. So I got the Rays and the White Sox clashing in the ALCS. So that's just a brief overview of both of these series here. I wanted to cover this. I mostly cover the Giants in the National League, but I at least wanted to talk about these two series. And I'll talk more about it after these series are over. We'll do some maybe post-game wraps on these series and talk about, obviously, the ALCS when the time comes. So I try to cover all of baseball as much as I can. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate you so much. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. Who do you got winning these two series? And we'll talk to you next time. See ya!
When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. Every time the chips are